Welcome to A Better HR Business, the podcast that looks at how HR consultants and HR tech firms grow their businesses and how they help their employers to get the best out of their people. Remember, for show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, welcome back. Thanks for joining me today. I'm delighted to be joined by Alison Clegg. Alison is the founding director of Highridge HR, a firm that specialises in the SME insurance broking and financial services industry. Alison, thanks for joining me today. How are you?
Hi Ben, thanks for asking me to join you. That's great. I'm really good, considering we've got 4 inches of snow outside, but all good.
Brilliant. Well, I'm an Aussie, so I love the sound of snow. That's just brilliant. Whereabouts are you based?
I'm in a place called Mythenroyd, which is just outside Halifax in West Yorkshire.
Nice. Yeah, Yorkshire, beautiful part of the world. Very good. So, Alison, let's get started. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into consulting?
Yeah. Well, I worked for Lloyd Banking Group, formerly Halifax Bank, for 26 years. And I was lucky enough in my career there to do a number of different operational management jobs and also heading up a learning development. And it involved a lot of sort of leadership training and also being a manager myself. I've done a lot of things with people, disciplinaries, etc. Halifax kindly put me through my CIPD qualifications because I thought the route I wanted to go down was HR. When I left the bank in 2012, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get into HR. I was looking at different options. I actually got offered a job working for a large insurance company based in London with offices all over the world, and offered a role there as an HR consultant, working with brokers who were part of their insurance network. And straight away fell into it, loved it, loved the role of being a consultant, loved being out and about, meeting new people, and also being able to, in a role, to sort of support business owners and take away sort of the headache of being in HR, of their HR, and and really taking the ownership of things for them. That's sort of how I got into it. I worked for the company I was working for a period of nearly 6 years, and made a decision that I thought it was time to sort of leave corporate life, set up on my own, do what I love doing, which is, as I say, consulting and, going out there and helping businesses with the people and all the people issues. So that's sort of how I fell into it.
That's great. And so the company where you were a consultant for them going out to different employers. Is that right? It wasn't internal consulting as such.
No, I wasn't an internal consultant. So we had the company have what they call a network of insurance brokers, where the brokers get specialist discounts and specialist products on the insurance. Mm-hmm. My boss at the time wanted to add an added value onto what we were offering, what they were offering them, and one of the areas was HR. Feedback from the brokers and the business owners were they didn't have a lot of time to spend on the people side of things and making sure that everything was compliant and in line with things, and things were slipping as well with regards to performance management. So she started this offering, and it was so well received that the pay, it was on a retainer basis or a project basis, and then we were at the end of the phone call for them. And also, as I said earlier, I love travelling, so spent a lot of time down in London and the suburbs of London, which I'm really missing at the moment with current climate.
Yeah, no, that's great. But that's such a wonderful opportunity, because it is a big leap to go from the corporate world to your own consulting business. But for you, you had a bit of a halfway house where you were doing consulting for other clients, but still in an employed role. So it would have given you a few tips and tricks to take into your new business, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the, the reasons when I thought about, there was changes going on, as there always is with big corporates and things internally. And one of the things I thought about was, well, actually, I could do what I'm doing, but actually for myself, and miss out the middleman and just work directly with the clients, and give more of a not have any constraints around, how much time I can spend with them and what I need to do. And hence, why I decided to do what I'm doing, which I love.
Yeah. So what exactly are you doing with the business? What does Highridge HR do?
So Highridge HR, it's generalist HR. So, the normal HR things that we cover, sort of contracts, handbooks, documentation, keeping that up to date. But also sort of working with the businesses on their business strategy, incorporating that people strategy, looking at the long-term growth. An area that we would also get involved with is acquisitions. So in the insurance industry, there's quite a lot of acquisitions ongoing at the moment, and there will be in the future. People retiring and leaving the businesses, selling it on. So one of the offerings we have is a due diligence with regards to acquisitions and making sure that the people that they're keeping across, everything's checked out and done properly on them. And also performance management, building in their annual reviews, because again, sometimes they don't have things set in place, so we'll be looking at things like that. Basically, anything to do with the people, we will be able to help them and pick that up. And one of the areas I am planning on later in the year to get into, which is another passion of mine, is actually leadership training and development. Which in my previous role with one of the things I did run was an executive development program, which was really well received and really good. And that's something I want to sort of build in as well as an offering later in the year.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have any particular models or backing systems that you plan to implement, or is it just case by case depending on the client needs?
It depends on the client needs. Yeah. I've got sort of toolkits where I've got basically all the information ready there. I use HR Inform as well for a lot of my get up to speed with. And one of the things that we're going to be eventually putting onto our website is toolkits. So if people don't really want to use us on a retainer basis, or need the advice, but just want the tools, then they will be able to use the tools that we will have set up on the site. But again, I personally prefer to offer the personal touch and actually bespoke everything, bespoke documents and bespoke advice to that business. Know the business, get to know the owners, and get to know the staff.
Yes, that makes sense. And there are companies like the Franklin Covey who were on the podcast previously, where they, the classic books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, all that sort of stuff, through to online training, to workshops, to in-depth consulting projects that go on for a long time with the CEO. And I think it's great to have a different range of products and services you can offer at different price points. And
going on to the sort of the leadership and the exec training is I used to use a lot of speakers who were part of the Vistage and the Chief Executive Group as well. So I've got those contacts that hopefully we'll be able to link in with as well to sort of have as guest speakers.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And how did you find the transition from the corporate world as such to starting your own company?
When I first left the bank, it was a different transition. Even though I was going from one corporate to another corporate, it was very, very different. When I left my employment to become self-employed, I didn't find the transition too hard because we'd been part of this network, which was sort of, you felt as if you were actually self-employed, even though you weren't. You were paid by, you're being paid by a big global company, but we were very much left to it. This is your baby. This is what you do. This is where you go out and find your clients. This is what you do. So I sort of felt that I was just continuing with that, but actually for myself and not for benefiting a big corporate.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is thinking for yourself, really, not having to check through things with legal departments, or we had to go to New York for some decisions if we were putting out new policies and things like that. So that's a lot better.
Yeah, you don't miss that part of things.
No.
All the time zone differences and all that sort of stuff. So how did you get your first few clients, and how are you getting them now?
The first few clients got in touch with me, actually. It's been difficult because up until November last year, I was actually on restrictive covenants, so I couldn't actually go and find clients, or my old clients. The clients I've got have come to me through I've worked with them in the past. They know how reliable I am, and and always deal with them professionally and efficiently. So quite a few came across sort of from when I left the company to now, and a couple of them have been referrals. I've got a few clients on retainer basis, but then I've had quite a few actually outside the industry I'm sort of concentrating on. But that's the thing with HR is it's transferable skills to whatever industry you're in, really. And they've been referrals, just word of mouth from people I know who've mentioned it to somebody who's got a business and asked for some support. Christmas time, I sent quite a lot of my old clients Christmas cards with Highridge on, but also offering them a free HR health check or 5 calls over the next few months for free, just to sort of get that buy-in. I've had one response from there, but it's early days, so one out of probably 30 or 40 I think I sent to is great. And then I've got my new website, which I haven't launched yet, which I'm going to be launching hopefully by the end of this week, and also my LinkedIn profile as well for the company as well. So that will be getting, some more promotion out there.
And you mentioned the restrictive covenants from the former employer. How was the relationship telling them that you were leaving?
In a way, they were shocked because there was only 2 of us who did the job, and we both left at the same time. Because of changes that were being made internally, but they were a bit shocked. But my manager actually he understood where I was coming from when I said I wanted to go and set up my own business. So he was really supportive on that. And a couple of the clients that came across, they knew they were coming, but the clients told them they were coming with me as soon as I'd left, and they were fine that way. Really? But as I say, I just didn't want to be too greedy and go for them all.
And did they tell you to never darken their door again, or would you maybe
No, they
didn't.
No, they didn't. No, they did. They said that if things didn't work out, or they were always open for me to go back in and have a chat, or talk about going back there. But which is great, and have actually been speaking to somebody about that recently, later last year actually, about would I ever go back, but I honestly say I wouldn't. I wouldn't go back to that sort of life.
But I think some consultants, they do get scared of that conversation. They fear the worst, and as you've described, no, it's fine, and your old manager wished you the best anyway. You may even get work out of them in the future.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, we sort of did joke about it. I did with one of the directors to say, in a couple of years, it might be me coming to you to, because they're actually outsourcing their HR now. So there could be conversations to be had in the future. I go and get that business. And who knows, you might acquire them one day. Very good. And then going forward, what do you think will be your main marketing channels for getting new clients? I think it's through the LinkedIn, through the website, but also through networking groups. So that's a big one. I've obviously joined a couple of networking groups. I mean, from being on your boot camp with Mandy, I learned so much on the boot camp, which was great. I've kept in touch with, I'm part of Mandy's supper club now, which is another great way of, we're all in the same. I know we're all in the same sort of industry, but so much you can learn and you can get from that. But also, as I say, the network groups. So I've joined the CIPD West Yorkshire group, and I've also been in conversation with Bradford and District Community Group, who cover quite a large area, because Bradford's quite a large area. We were in talks of me becoming a trustee. At the moment, the trustee role isn't there. However, they have asked me to become an advisor for them. Nice. So again, that's a really good in to working with other business, and it's not insurance and it's not financial services. However, it's still, working with groups of people who are from all over different industries, and again, just getting out there really, and other marketing ways. Once we're allowed to go out and about and travel again, there's sort of conferences I'll probably go to and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a massive insurance conference that's every year. It's in Manchester in May. Obviously cancelled last year. It doesn't look like it's happening this year, but that would be an ideal place for me to go as well.
Absolutely. I wonder if they'll put on a virtual event and if you can get your name in there as a speaker.
Yeah, it could be. I'm on the list of already asked them to let me know what's going on. So
good. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I'm sure you do well. That's for sure. So what do you see coming down the road for HR? Because we've been through so much and there's been so much change. So what do you see coming down the road for HR in the world of work, and how should listeners get prepared for these changes?
I think, the main thing is obviously COVID and the long-term effects of after COVID. Still a way off there. Yeah. And I think a lot of the issues will be people in jobs, because a lot of people have lost jobs, but it's the skills gap as well. There's a massive skills gap, which especially from hospitality and retail, wanting to get into other areas of employment. So I think there's a lot of work for HR and training development really to be able to sort of build some tools or some training around getting people the right skills for the jobs, the right jobs. I think it's also rebuilding businesses, which again, through COVID, redundancies have happened, or people, for various reasons, not sort of replace people. And I think a lot of, businesses will be wanting to rebuild the business and restructure and looking at things differently. So again, HR is really can be really involved with regards to, do we need 5 offices when we only had, we've only been running 1? So there's a lot of, and as I said earlier, acquisitions. People have been through this and decided, well, maybe I'm going to sell my business. And I think the other implications is Brexit. At the moment, nothing really is changing with regards to employment law, but that's not to say it won't do in the future. So that's something, again, could have an impact.
Yeah, and I remember you mentioned earlier about the acquisition work you do for companies to advise them on the due diligence stuff, but I can see that absolutely applying for companies where they're trying to downsize operations, 5 down to 3 and all that kind of stuff. There's a pretty close correlation. Yeah. Yeah, very good. If people want to engage your services, partner with you, refer business to you, or just learn more about you, what should they do next?
Just either, get in touch with me via my website. My number's on there, and there's a contact form on there as well. Or email me. Again, details are on my LinkedIn and my web, and will be on my website as well. Happy for anybody to pick up the phone and have a chat, see what we can do and how we can help them. Very good.
I'll put the links in the show notes, but can you just call out the website address?
Yeah, it's highridge-hr.co.uk.
Brilliant. Yeah. All right. Very good. Well, Alison, I think you've got a brilliant business already begun, and it's going to go from strength to strength. And I think you're right that when we open up after COVID and start to ease back into the world, I think you're going to hit the ground running. That's for sure. Yeah. So I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you very much, and speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today on A Better HR Business, the podcast that explores the world of HR consulting and HR tech businesses. For show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and share the show with any friends who are busy growing a HR business. Thanks, and see you next time.